Hi, my name's Asif. I run a agency called Disruptiv Media. Uh, Terrible website I have, so I don't know why I'm giving SEO advice. But generally in the SEO world, it's not worth optimizing your website because there's a billion SEO companies out there with SEO written on their site. So generally, a lot of my clients I have on referral or I've been working with for years, which is a nice have. Um, And I've worked with brilliant directory websites before, and I've been following a lot of group comments about SEO, and I did do a video series with a few years ago on sort of search engine optimization for brilliant directory websites. And I thought, why not share some of my expertise with some of you guys and have a look at some of your sites and actually look at what might be holding you back. Now, in this video series, I am going to focus on different aspects of SEO, sort of core fundamentals that you need to implement to have any chance of success with your website being found online. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about structuring almost like an SEO plan for your website. And I'm going to show you an example of how I would be doing that, or how I currently do that. I've got like a rough drawn out one, which I want to share with you. But I'm also going to have a look at some of your sites and actually some of you who shared your sites in the comments, and actually sort of just look at them from a general SEO perspective, because I noticed that some of you are keen to have your sites reviewed. So I thought, why not have a look at these and you know um, you know just look at these for an example. So I've got an Australian site here first, coastconnects.com.au. Um, And I think one thing you've got to, as a starting principle with SEO, is fundamentally forget about your website. As in, your website actually isn't, how do I put it, significant in Google's eyes. Google doesn't really care about your website. And I don't mean that as a sort of criticism. What I'm saying is, you have to start thinking of your website as pages and specific pages, rather than start thinking of your entire website, because Google isn't able to understand your entire website and to consider it. It has to. It's only interested in specific pages for specific search intent. So part of the reason that Google's the biggest website in the world and it has Goliath market share is generally you find what you're looking for when you search on it. So how Google does that is ultimately it matches a page, it matches a specific page to your search. It only cares about that one page. So that's why I'm saying forget about your website. The most important thing is the actual pages. So when I look at a website like this, I'm starting to think now, what pages here are going to solve search intent? And actually, I'm not seeing any right now that necessarily do that. Now, I'm not going to claim to be an expert in any of your markets. I can't do that in a short phone call. Um, but this looks like a community network. So what I'm trying to understand is, what is this website what search intent are we trying to sort of solve here? So I would normally look at the sort of, I mean, generally the home page isn't the one that you want to try and rank. Unless it's a big thing. So this one here, it says member directory, find members, Coast Connects, building. It looks like it's too long. I need to look at the source code because it's too long. Because maybe that, but normally you want this sort of main keyword at the start of your, or what's called a meta title. And I'll go into meta titles in another video series, or you can look that up. But this doesn't really, this particular aspect here, the meta title is really important in helping Google understand what your website's about. So let's have a look at the menu here. So we've got members, events. I'm not seeing anything on here that's going to help this rank for anything yet. And it's fine. It might not be the goal of this site to rank for search engine. It might just be, for this networking community, right? So I can see that body language sales for sales mastery potentially could be something that answers a search intent. So that's an event. So yeah, again, this isn't something that's going to rank. So I mean, my advice for this website here, and I'm going to sort of go into it, is ultimately is what problem are you going to solve? are you potentially solving for a searcher, and how do we build that into the website? Because there isn't anything here um, that's going to help. I'm just wondering if if there's, so it would be nice. Advice I would give you is to have um, your members in different categories, and then have category pages. So, for example, let's have a look. So you've got something here that's called human power. I'd like to help you really understand it. So I'm doing this on the fly, by the way. So what's human pattern recognition? Because that's something that's quite unique. And when you find something that's quite unique, that's something that could potentially rank. Now, you've got an education category, and that's a massive fail. Because the more specific you are for your categories, the more likely it is it will match a search. But if you pick a category like education, imagine how many people you're competing with, right? So yeah, this is a tough one. I've got to be honest. This site here is a tough one. And I'm going to explain about SEO funnels in a minute, but I think I need to look at another site. I'm just not sure this is something that um, it isn't structured in a way, from what I can see, that would help with SEO. And it comes back down to this: is what problems are you going to solve, and how do people search these problems, what keywords they use, and then what page can we give them to solve that problem? So, for example, if someone was looking for human pattern recognition specialists, we could have a human pattern recognition category, and that page could then have results of lots of human pattern recognition practitioners. And this is something that we could rank in Google because it's now solving a problem for that specific search. And if that doesn't make sense, I'm really, really sorry. Happy to answer any PMs on Facebook if you want me to dive deeper. So let's have a look at another site, because I've got to be honest, that first one is definitely a bit challenging. So let's look at this prison art. Now, this looks like something specific, so this is exciting. So I'm now looking at the title of the page, Prison Artist Directory. So that's straight away, if I'm looking for prison artist, this already looks like it's optimized from the home page for that search, which is brilliant. And that's what you want, okay? Because now that's solving a search intent challenge. The only thing that I think might be a challenge with this site now is it's so specific that what other categories can we use? Well, let's see what categories we've got on here. So if I click this airbrush category and click search, nicely designed site, by the way, it's definitely unique. So now I've searched this category and I can see straight away we have a problem because it's giving me what's called a dynamic page. Now there is a facility in Brilliant Directories where you can make your page static, right? So if I was looking for an airbrush prison artist, this page would have a low chance of ranking because it isn't optimized. We don't have an actual page. And then this title for some of these search pages looks specific, where with the static pages that you can create in Brilliant Directory, you can actually give it its own meta title. So a lot of people want to sort of blame Brilliant sometimes for the platform. The platform's really, really SEO friendly if you know how to use it. But I would say that the home page of this website ranks really, really well. But there is an opportunity to just have more specific searches with some search pages that you could make static pages. Um, and I just wonder if you've ever done any keyword research on what people are searching, or you always have to do online tools keyword research, because when you're in a niche, you'll find there's not always a lot of data. But have you thought about how people are searching, and have you thinking of creating pages that would then solve that search? Yes, the home page does it, but what other pages can we create? What other categories we can create that will then potentially get indexed by Google, and then be a result? I'll give you a perfect example of how this is really done well by a big website like Indeed, right? So I live in the Philippines. I work offshore. As soon as I made enough money, I thought, you know what, I'm going to work offshore. Well, and especially as my wife's Filipino and she saw my bank balance, she said, why are we still living in the UK? So I live out here, so my search results are a little bit skewed. But let's just do an Indeed example, right? So if I do engineers in the city that I'm in, and let me qualify that search by jobs, yeah, engineer jobs. Yeah, here we go. So Indeed should be one of the results after Google Jobs, right? So we got Indeed here. Right, so I'm going to show you something here just going to blow your mind, right? This is something that you probably not thought, a lot of you have not thought about. This URL um, it's got a query string after it, but this is a static URL, which basically means that this destination is stored in Indeed's sitemap, which means it can be crawled by Google, and then this page can show as a solution, as a how do I put it? A solution to the search intent. So if I'm searching for engineering jobs in my city, um, Indeed already created a page that Google can crawl to solve that search intent. So when you think about your website, you've got to think of all the different searches that happen and what page can you create for that. Because again, Google's not going to sort of go to your site and figure it all out. It needs to find a specific page that's a winner. Now this page is a winner because if I go to the title, look, it's already optimized. It says engineering work jobs in my city. We can also see that we've got content for jobs here. So this would have all been crawled by Google, and Google would have looked at this page and gone, okay, I trust Indeed a lot anyway, but they've got a relevant page for me, so I'm going to send traffic there. Now, if you've got a new site, it's very unlikely Google trusts it. So even if you don't create pages for all these potential intents, and a lot of what you're doing out there, a lot of people who start these new websites, they create a website journey around what they think should be on the site. You have to do it based on what people are searching for, and you have to create destinations that are going to solve searches like the one I just did. Now, let me show you something really interesting. If I go in Indeed and I put my head hurts as a job, yeah, just for example, yeah, and find jobs. Now what we've got, okay, it tells me the first time I'm the first person looking for this, which is surprising. What we have is what's called a dynamic page, like the one I just looked at on the prison art page. This is dynamic. This type of page cannot be crawled by Google. So if you don't create pages for specific searches, guess what? You're not going to be even in contention for appearing for those searches, right? So, so what Indeed does very clever, it creates what I would call static or stored pages that Google can crawl and puts it in its sitemap, and you've got the same facility and brilliant. So you need to be doing that. Now, let me just show you an example of how things should be structured. So I work with a tuition company in the UK, and there's quite a lot of data here. Don't let it overwhelm you. And this looks ugly. I don't really care about ugly as long as it works. Okay. Um, and what we do is we look at all the search intents. Okay, what are people searching for? What page can we give them a specific page that solves that search? Yeah, and you can see here that we consistently are thinking about all these specific searches. We want a page. Now this is a non-BD site, by the way. Okay, but it's the same principle. It's not the platform. When you buy these platforms are not suddenly going to make you monsters online. It's the off-site. It's the work that you do outside of the website and the strategy that delivers the SEO result. So what you need to do, and the biggest action point I can give you, is get a simple Excel document. You can use free keyword research tools like Ubersuggest. I'll just show an example here. Ubersuggest. It's a little bit limited unless you log in. It's really annoying, but it will help you find keywords and similar keywords. Don't get obsessed with tools, because remember, tools are there to work as tools. They're not magic bullets to sort of do your SEO for you, even though they'll try and purport that they are. But what you want to do is you want to map all your keywords, and then you want to think, right, where on my website, what page on my website is going to solve that search intent? And be honest with yourself. Is that page a good place to send people for that search? And until you do that, you're not going to get any online traffic. You've got no chance. A lot of you who are niche industries or in locations and that sort of thing, where your website solves a problem, you need to configure it. So think about your categories. Think about creating static pages. And like I said, I'm not looking to sort of monetize any of you. I'm looking to sort of build some affinity with BD sites, because I've successfully launched a BD site and it gets decent traffic. The only problem is the lockdown in Philippines. It's a tourism-based site, so it's sort of in archive right now, but it actually ranks for everything, which is really annoying. But I'm trying to sort of build myself as an expert for BD, and that's going to take years. So please take all my free advice, lap it up, implement it. It will really, really help you. And PM me if you've got any questions. Thank you for your time.